Hi guys, how you doing? Good morning. I am just touching base with all of you guys. I ended up staying over by Elaine's in White House, Westmoreland. It's a great, nice bed and breakfast that you guys can check out if you are ever over this side and you want a place with an awesome view. It actually overlooks Sandal's south coast. Alright, this is one of the places where I normally come by myself or with my family, to just sit back and chillax and, just really, get some time to think. And this is where I started writing my first book. And I'm hoping to release that book and another book early into 2023. So, it's early in the morning, my voice kind of hoarse and stuff like this, but I said that I wanted to connect with you guys and, do part 2 of who is your favorite financial advisor and what qualifies me to give you financial advice. So, part 2 is really me telling you about how I became a financial mutant, how I became financially aware, and a lot of this awareness came out of a particular need, you know what I'm saying? Because up to 2018, everything was hunky-dory, had everything that, I needed in life. I had it made. My finances were fine, never had any issues. I was gainfully employed to a good job. I was doing well. My wife had just, finished her program at dental school, and she was doing reasonably well, and we're looking forward to building life together. But we are overachievers and we always aspire for more. And so I remember one of my what would you call it, one of my mentors from a while back used to say that being comfortable is basically the opium of the poor. So the minute you get comfortable in whatever you're doing, you're getting comfortable in your workplace, you're getting comfortable in your stance as a professional athlete, you're getting comfortable with your stance in the gym, you stop pushing yourself hard. You have gotten comfortable in terms of the type of service that you're offering your clients, and you never aspire to, give them more. That's when things start to go downhill. So my wife, from she finished dental school, she always said that she wanted to be an endodontist. And in the next video, I'm gonna show you guys or share with you our 2 to 10 year plan, right, from 2016. And these are things that we wrote down from that time, which we even lost the paper, and we're doing some reshuffling at home the other day and we found the paper. And because we deposited that dream, that vision in writing from that time, you would be surprised how many of those things were actually ticked off, and I'm going to share it with you. See what I'm saying? So there is a certain merit and importance in writing the vision, those deep desires that you have. So from 2016, because she graduated in 2015, from 2016 she wrote down on a piece of paper that in the next 2 to 3 years from graduating that she wanted to become an endodontist, and she wanted to in particular be endodontist to the government system, consultant to the government system in Jamaica, because she saw where there was a huge need. And she wrote down on the paper that she was going to get a scholarship to do that. Now, I don't know if you guys know how impossible it is. Not impossible. The word impossible says I'm possible. But at the time, I want to let you guys know that it's very difficult for a black person from the Caribbean, for a black female from the Caribbean, for a person who went to a university who they said was not accredited to get into an Ivy League school, and even being snubbed by a lot of persons who were already in that profession to say that she studied at a school where they were never going to get any recognition, that she and her colleagues were going to be let out to the unsuspecting public. She graduated with first class honors from her program, and she was awarded the President's Pin. Right? She had a 3.85 GPA, and she was a valedictorian candidate for her graduating class in 2015, right, from UTech Dental School. So with that impressive resume, along with other, being a part of other outreach societies like Great Shape Inc. International, and copying a whole ton of other awards, while she was at UTech studying for dentistry, she decided that she wanted to apply to go overseas to study, as I said before. So she applied to the United Kingdom, King's College. She was exploring into going down to Australia, down under, and she applied to some schools in the United States, but that was a different route. But she applied to the University of Toronto, and guys, I'm telling you, that is when the beginning of my financial journey really started, because here it is, my wife, who is an overachiever, lover, wants to go overseas and go study. Now this program is 60,000 Canadian dollars per year, but at 3/6 is 18, right? So that's 180,000 Canadian per year. And if you really match that up and recalculate that back to the 3-year journey, right, we're talking about over 24 million Jamaican dollars, right? Because it was about 65,000, because we haven't even calculated the housing and transportation and all of these things in it. But I can tell you the final figure was 24 million Jamaican dollars that it took to go on this studying journey, right? Good. So now she's come back to Jamaica, and she's the first and only black female, right, board certified endodontist in Jamaica and possibly the Caribbean, right? So she's even, out of this experience, been the top endodontic student for her class that year, passing all her exams, right? She was a chief resident for her program, and she's even been called up to be a speaker at AAE, American Association of Endodontics, next year. So she's doing very well, right? So we give God thanks for that. But when she heard that she got in 2018, right, before that she had to fly up for an interview, right? And we didn't know where the money was coming from at that time, because when she sent in her application and they called her, this was pre-COVID, it was 9 persons, right? And of those 9 persons, it was this little black girl from St. Anne in Jamaica. So of course, she couldn't give up the opportunity. So in 2017, she flew up for the interview. She was among the 9 candidates, and they were only going to choose 3. That's how competitive these programs are. And the persons who, the university is so prestigious in that the persons who they actually take into their endodontics program at the University of Toronto, we're talking about people who have 2 PhDs already. We're talking about people who are already endodontists in their own country, but Canada is so strict in that in order to work there, you also have to go through the rigors of their endodontics program. They're not just taking you in just because. We're talking about people who have been cited and people who have done research and written books. So it was very stiff. And even in her time there, she got a lot of flack. Like, there were persons there who saw her, a black girl with locks. Many times, persons thought she was like a dental assistant up there. It's crazy. It's like Ben Carson's story all over. Or persons who was wondering what she was doing there. And as a matter of fact, the only black people up there in that program, or people of color, were like persons who were dental assistants. So when one of the dental assistants found out that she was actually a dentist and she was actually in the postgrad program up there, it was a big thing. She was getting high fives, she was getting hugs in the bathroom, anywhere, and people were really rooting for her because this was really unprecedented at the time. Anyways, fast forward to all of that. So she's at the interview. She goes up, flies, spends the 800 Canadian for go up there, and she was able to stay up there in a good friend of hers and her colleague's condo, Dr. Gary Glassman. Shout out to you, big up and enough respect. And she does her interview, was very strenuous and rigorous, and she came back and she said, babe, I don't know, Dr. Friedman was very tough on me, and he asked me a lot of hard questions. Shout out to you, Dr. Friedman. And a week later, she got an email to say that she got in, and the finances started to skyrocket from there, because to secure your space for the following year, which would have been 2018, you had to send 2,000 Canadian to secure your space immediately, because this is highly competitive. So we didn't know where the money was going to come from for this course, but find the 2,000 US and we'll send it overseas for lock the spot, right? So now we are waiting and planning, and even during the space between 2017 and 2018, that timeline, we're contemplating, should she really go, should she really stay? Then we find out that she's pregnant with Isaiah. Wow, what a mixer, what a game changer to really come into the whole thing. So here it is that she's supposed to start endodontic school at U of T in the August of 2018, but we have Isaiah is born in the March of 2018. So we were back and forth, trying to find the finances, trying to put the finances together to send her off to school. But then we said, with the baby and everything, let's just call it off, let's just call it quits. Then I want to tell you about passion. Then after we had called it off, because August came and she wasn't there, and I remember Gary Glassman sent her a picture, because remember I tell you, it's only 3 people they take in per year. Dr. Gary Glassman, world-renowned endodontist, sent her a picture of her workstation with her name in it. So up to this time, it was just Alice and Aldo, which were her other colleagues who were working in the station, and there was an empty workstation with her name on it. You see, after she said that, people, I don't know, after we had discussed staying because we couldn't afford it, her head took her and she went after her passion. And with Isaiah being 6 months old, not fully knowing where she was going to stay, right? And I won't get into the where she stayed and all of that process just yet, because that's her story to really tell. I'm just telling you from my point of view. We'll buy a plane ticket, and September 18, 2018, she flew out to Toronto, right? And that was the beginning of everything, because one, I had 2 cars that I had to now pay for, because she went out on a dime. I mean, it worked out, but I'm just telling you from my point of view. I had an Audi sports car to pay for. I had a VW to pay for. And for 6 months after she left, this is 2018 going into 2019, I had 2 car payments, right? And I was only one person driving 1 car. I was in a situation where I had to take care of a household, with less finances, because of course she would have gone off to study, so everything was on me. I had my mom at the time who, even though she was employed, she's elderly and her medications were very expensive, so I was contributing to her home, right, and her living expenses, my living expenses, 2 car payments, right, for one person, and for one high-end vehicle, because that's the lifestyle that I was living when, you know, she was here. And I had to contract, which is a part of me becoming a financial mutant. And also, when my wife went overseas, obviously she wasn't employed, she was a student, and they have very strict laws over there, so it's not like she could work as a dentist over there while studying. And I had to find money every single month to send to my wife to contribute to her living expenses, right? So you can understand that I was under immense pressure. So after just sitting down and, you know, really trying to figure out how things are going to work out, I had to make some huge financial adjustments. I had to get on a budget. I had to get on my noodle, my patty, my sardine, my crackers budget. I had to figure out a way how to pay for my home while she wasn't here. I had to figure out a way how to get a roommate, right, or get a tenant to pay for my home while she wasn't here. I had to figure out a way how to get rid of one of the cars. I had to find a way or figure out a way how to increase my income, because now I was taking care of my mom's home, my home, or, you know, my wife and I home, and also her home away in Canada. To tell you a little bit more about the journey now, this is playing at the big boy level. So remember I told you that she is board certified endodontist, right? Only one in Jamaica. And part of the qualification is that, let me even tell you, at this level, when you go overseas and study, right, it's not just, you're looking for the school fee and you're good. Because at the level that you're at, right, as a dental specialist, you have to be flying to conferences and attending every conference. She was in Canada and she had to attend conferences all in Atlanta, Georgia, for AAE, and traveling all the way over. I forget the name of that place. You know, they speak French over there in Canada. She had to be traveling all over for the various conferences because that was a requirement for school. And guess who had to find the money for her to reach all of those places? And at the end, when she actually finished her course and her time, passed all her exams at U of T, and she had to do her board exams, mighty God, guess who had to find the money to pay for those exams? For the Canadian board certified exams, right? 10,000 Canadian dollars one time, just so had to find that money to pay, right? And she's also American board certified, as well as a 3-process exam, right? That was another 9,000 US dollars. Guess who had to find the money there? And shout out to Dr. Matt, big up yourself for being a big part of this journey as well. But guess who had to find the bulk of that 9,000 US dollars to pay for those American board examinations? So people, she's going to be double board certified. It's the sacrifice of those people who want more in life. But it's not just a sacrifice that you don't plan for. But in this case, she went after her dream, but because I was stable enough and I was focused enough and my mind was strong enough, I was able to really become a financial mutant in this time. And believe me, why I'm pushing for persons, especially young persons, to become financial mutants is that, you know, don't lust off to the bust down Rolex and the APs, and, you know, I don't know what you like. If you like Richard Mille or you want to drive the GLE or the Porsche right now, bro, You realize that most of the people who have these things or who drive these cars, they're older. That's because somehow they manage to invest in themselves, whether their education, that's somehow they manage to invest in stocks, bonds, real estate. Guys, these things take time, these things take sacrifice, and a lot of the big sacrifices that have to be made are personal sacrifices and sacrifices on your own personal finance, sacrificing to budget, to be on a strict budget, sacrifices to save your money so you can have money to invest, right? Sacrifices to go back to school and learn, because remember we said the more you learn, the more you earn. So it's out of these or this particular situation over the last 3 years and how tight I've had to be that I really recognize how important it is to manage your finances. And that's why I qualified, because I was under immense pressure. Now, while she was away, another spoke came into the mix. You know what that spoke was? It's a spoke called COVID. Bruh. When COVID hit and Jamaica was on lockdown and people couldn't work or people were losing jobs or people's business was, contracting because there were no customers, everybody was on lockdown. What were we to do? I never worked so hard in my life. You know why? Because in the lockdown, remember all of those stress factors I spoke about earlier, having the 3 households to maintain, having the how much care to maintain, having all of the fees to pay overseas for exams for my wife. Bro, it was at that time I had to increase my income and figure out other ways of how to make money, because I didn't know it was very volatile. I didn't know what was going to happen for the pharmaceutical industry. Doctors' offices were being closed at the beginning of COVID. Pharmacies were being closed. Sales had contracted significantly. Everybody was kind of like worried, like, all right, I saw some of my MedRep colleagues, their companies were letting them go. Their companies were reducing their salaries. Their companies were taking away their traveling. So many things were happening, right? And now we're even seeing some of the repercussion of COVID, even in the government sector, where Nigel is actually contracting some salaries and is causing uproar and strike because of repercussion of COVID. There's a chopper coming in, but at the same time, what I'm saying to you is this: during COVID was when I found a big opportunity. And I'm saying sometimes, guys, in the middle of a storm, there is an eye, and in the quiet, in the midst of that, if you sit in a problem long enough, the answer will find you. And during COVID, and I know a lot of people can attest to this, but mostly big companies and companies who are selling sundries, medical supplies and sanitizers, there are other opportunities in COVID. I can emphatically tell you this in that, as an individual with the entrepreneurial spirit that I had, I never made as much money as I did before COVID as I did make in COVID. And this is as an individual. I was able to, because of the pressure that was put on me. And Dwayne Lufong used to always say, no pressure, no diamonds. Because of the immense pressure that was put on me, because everybody sit down and complain and say, Lord, COVID will lock up. I was out there in the streets hustling like nobody's business. And that's how I was able for pay, right, for all of these expenses, while my wife was away, pay for all her, exams and all of these things, and invest into her business even today. And I can tell you, right, why it's important to be a financial mutant and live within your means, because during COVID I was able to find in excess of $11 million to invest in the business that we have today, right? Invest in education, equipment, and business. You heard me, 11 million Jamaican dollars. So, if you think that this thing is a joke, put some respect on my name. You understand? But guys, it's not about me. I'm just sharing my journey, with you. I'm just sharing with you the fact that you can win. You can get good with money. You can get good with your finances. It's important. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family. All right? So big up, one love, and bless. Thanks for tuning into part 2 of Who is your favorite financial advisor? Who is this Christopher Beecher? And as usual, I'm asking you to like, subscribe, comment, and share for more content like this. Alright? Big up and one love, and we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Alright? Peace out and blessings.